Hey guys, this is Eckhartsladder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Squadrons video. And we've literally uploaded dozens of Squadrons videos over here on EcksToo since I got the chance to play the game a few months ago. So this video is meant to summarize what I think are 5 key points that you should know about the game now that we're just under 30 days away. I think you'll find this video useful if you're on the fence about pre-ordering or even purchasing this game at all. But for anyone else, for you guys who are dedicated to buying the game like me, I think you'll still find this interesting. This, however, is meant to be a summary. If you want more details about anything that I discussed in this video, check out the information card in the upper right-hand corner. I've linked to my Star Wars Squadrons playlist, which includes every upload we've done up until this point. And if you want even more, there are a ton of Star Wars Squadrons fans just as excited for the game as you are. I recommend you check out the EcksToo Discord, and especially the Star Wars Squadrons subreddit. I am very active over there. It's one of my favorite subreddits, and I'll include a link down in the description. With that being said, let's take a look at 5 things you need to know going into Star Wars Squadrons. My first general topic is competitiveness. This is a game where the skill gap between good players and even average players will be very, very noticeable. It's one of those games that you can really understand how to play in 30 minutes, but will take hours upon hours of practice to really perfect. And this is sort of in keeping with the games that came before Star Wars Squadrons, like X-Wing and TIE Fighter. A good pilot will just know how to get a little bit extra out of their ship, whether it's turning at exactly the right speed, making sure they've got the perfect loadout for their fighters, shifting shields to front or back depending on the situation, and about 100 other things that you'll learn while playing the game. And I mean, here's an example of the type of stuff that a really good player can pull off that a noob can't. Say you've got a missile fired at you and you've got no flares or chaff. One option is to hit the boost, pull a full 180 by cutting the engines, bringing up your targeting computer to target only projectiles, then literally shooting the missile out of space. But individual skill will only be a small part of what will make you good in Star Wars Squadrons. I really think team communication here is going to be key. Not only through Discord or in-game chat, but also through things like the marking system. As we discussed earlier this week, I also think this game will have a pretty clear meta, so there will be a squadron composition which people find out is better than others, or maybe there's a specific ship loadout that people find out works quite well in a given situation. All of that should contribute to the skill gap and is one of the reasons why I think this game will be really, really fun. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is the genesis of the game. Where did Star Wars Squadrons come from? Well, Squadrons is as close a sequel to the TIE Fighter and X-Wing series as we can ever realistically hope to get. It takes the real key aspects of those games and brings them to a modern audience. There are, of course, some differences in everything from ship handling to the increasing focus on multiplayer, but still, I would call this a spiritual successor or a modernization of the classic Star Wars games that came before it. The really neat thing about Star Wars Squadrons as well is that this was basically pitched to EA as a passion project by people over at Motive, including Ian Fraser. This is probably the least cynical I've ever been about a video game because I just know that these guys are making something that they really do want to play. And I'm hopeful that that translates well into the final project. But it's more than just an inspiration from the old games. We also see the recanonization of several elements, including, for example, little things like the BFF-1 bulk transport. We'll come back to this in a minute, but let's move on. My third point is that I think PC truly will be the best place to play Star Wars Squadrons. Generally, if you have a gaming PC, I think it's almost always better to play on that rather than a console, just because of the extra options you have. You can choose the controller you want, you can run programs like Discord in the background seamlessly, but in this case, there are even more reasons why you might want to go with PC over your PlayStation or your Xbox. First of all, no extra control schemes other than controller have been confirmed for console. Now, there also hasn't been confirmation that things like HOTAS setups won't work, but in my opinion, it's probably not going to happen, at least for launch, because if they were expected to work, I think we would have gotten confirmation at this point, because it is a pretty big selling point. PC, however, will be much more flexible, and for those who are lost, basically you can play the game with mouse and keyboard on PC, you can play with a controller, but there are also other control methods typically favored by enthusiasts. A good example would be what I just called a HOTAS, which stands for hands-on throttle and stick. However, more than just HOTAS have been confirmed. confirmed, including HOSIS, which is a double stick control scheme, and I believe pedals will also be supported, although I'm not 100% sure on this point, as well as other methods like solo flight sticks. And really with a PC, even if it doesn't work natively, there's usually a way to get around any difficulties if you're willing to put the effort in. There are also other advantages to PC. There is VR on PlayStation, but not Xbox. However, PC has a lot more flexibility with different VR headsets, and you can easily pair VR with other systems like a voice attack, which we covered in a prior video. So if you've got a gaming PC that's at least as good as your console, and there's no issue with wanting to play in party chats or whatever else, I would recommend you buy it on PC. The game will also be cross-play compatible, so you should still be able to play with your friends. Alright, so the next major thing I want to talk about just generally is campaign. Now, there will be some minor spoilers here, mostly just talking about when the game is set, but if you're really worried about stuff like that, maybe click off now. So, Star Wars Squadrons has a campaign split between the New Republic and the Empire, and game director Ian Fraser confirmed that you will spend equal time playing as both faction. We know that the majority of the game takes place after the Battle of Endor, as the Empire is sort of crumbling, to be honest, but the prologue at the very least also has some sections which take place before that. There's really not a whole lot known about the plot, other than that the New Republic Starhawk project will somehow figure into it, and the Empire most likely is trying to launch a raid or a strike against it. I will say, if you're expecting a galaxy-changing story, this might not be the game for you. I think we'll see something more similar to what we got, for example, in Star Wars TIE Fighter, where the story of course is important to the characters involved and it's still interesting, but it's not single-handedly going to change the course of the war. With that being said, the final thing I want to discuss is the scope of the game and its size. So, Star Wars Squadrons is a discount game. It's $40. Now, that's good because it means there's a low barrier of entry, and the game will also be included in EA's various membership programs. I don't even know the name of them anymore, but that also means don't expect the same amount of maps or game types as another game. Star Wars Squadrons will be fairly limited in that aspect. There's really 2 main multiplayer game modes and 6 to 8 multiplayer maps. What's more, this might be all we get. EA has stated that besides for bug fixes and hot fixes and balance changes, we shouldn't expect to see any more content for this game, with of course the caveat that if Star Wars Squadrons sells really well, they're not going to just ignore it. I'm sure if the game blows up like I really hope it does, then we might see some post-launch content. That being said, if you're buying the game expecting that, I think you're making a mistake because there's zero guarantee of that, and I wouldn't even say at this point that it's likely. So yeah, keep the game's scope in mind, manage your expectations. I'm really hoping that Squadrons ends up like a League of Legends or something like that. Now, obviously, I don't expect the game to have anywhere near that level of popularity, but I'm hoping that the competitive nature of it and just the amount of fun that it is, and trust me, it is fun, will carry the game despite a little bit more limited content. Maybe even like an Overwatch or a Team Fortress 2 or something like that. But those are 5 things I think you guys should know before you purchase Star Wars Squadrons, or if you're just looking forward to the game. Is there something that you think I should have mentioned instead? Is there something you would like to know about the game? Make sure to include all of that and more down in the comments section. Till next time though guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.